Let's get a view on everything that's going on locally and around the world. Peter McGuire from XM is joining us live via Skype in Sydney. Pete, welcome to the program. Nice to see you there. Boy, that was a pretty solid session coming through on Wall Street through the overnight period, and it seems to be reverberating around the Asian region today.
Well, good morning, Nadine. It certainly is. Australia's had a nice lift up about 1%. I was very impressed by the Nasdaq. I was up 3 o'clock and it was up the best part of 2.25%, 2.5%. It ended up nearly 2.7. S&P at 2% up. So very solid moves. Russell up, and the overall theme, I think, was one of confidence, and that's been inhaled this morning across Asia. I'm expecting good numbers come out of Japan today as far as the Nikkei. So yeah, good day, Nadine, to be long.
What do you make of the Aussie dollar? It is, stabilizing, you could say.
Well, it's showtime. I mean, it's been a wonderful main attraction. If from any trader's perspective, we've ridden it down from that 75, 76 all the way to 68. It's bounced now to 71. So it's just demonstrating the attraction that the Aussie shows the world. And that's why it's one of the most heavily traded against that US dollar. It's just been wonderful. And, from our perspective, we just want movement, and that movement's really been greatly appreciated across the trading basin globally. And the Aussie never fails to disappoint. Maybe a 71.25, 71.5 by the end of the month, eh?
Okay. Now, when it comes to what we are seeing in oil, I had a chat with a guest earlier on, and he's just loving the look of the chart technically. What are you making of it, and how can it be traded?
Well, everyone's been long. I think the mood at the moment, Nadine, is one of 120 as the new normal, and that's where everyone's got their focus on, and we're at 117 for Brent, 114 for WTI. So the overall uplift over that Northern Hemisphere summer, inflation galloping away, the Fed there sitting on, well, they'll probably raise, 2 rates, as we know, June and July. So let's see how that manifests itself. But the summer driving season, it's going to be expensive to take your car out, but I think it's a 120 plus handle, maybe even 125. It's hard to call a number to it, but it's certainly been bullish, and it's been an incredible market again to trade this month. Never disappoints the old crude oil.
For crude. Let's get to Fed expectations, because that is what is driving sentiment right now. We saw it expressed through the overnight period because, of course, we had some data that was softer than expected.
Yeah.
And that's got bad news being good news again. In fact, that it's endorsing that thought that after those 250 basis point hikes you referenced there, that we could see some sort of a pause, a look around. So, what are you sort of making of how that daily sentiment driver is likely to evolve in the coming week?
Well, over the next week, I think I wouldn't be surprised to see a little bit of movement, a continuation as far as a little bit movement to the upside for some of those US equities. That we've been pretty heavily sold off, and I wouldn't be surprised to see a little bit further of a bounce over the next week. And I think that there's possibly a little bit of more movement in the US dollar to throw that in there. I made a point. Is a soft landing on a bumpy road still considered a soft landing, or is it a hard landing? So there's going to be the major concern from this market sentiment, what we move forward with over the Northern Hemisphere summer, Nadine. And I still think that there's going to be one of trepidation. We've got to get inflation under control, but that's not an easy task. You've got PhDs talking about it all day, so far smarter than me. And I think the overall theme is going to be one of nervousness. And I think that's a global mindset that's really starting to ratchet up. All points of the compass are being affected by inflation.
Yeah, inflation, but also, Pete, I know you think a lot about China. All investors should have a wary eye on China at this time.
Yeah, absolutely, Nadine. I mean, the lockdowns, we understand the zero COVID policy. I'm conscious as far as supply chains, the logistic issues. Your previous guest, what he mentioned as far as Russia and China and all of those impacts. And if you're looking from a commodity side, it's going to may impact dramatically all hard ferrous metals, what's going on as far as supply of certain base metals. steel. I think it's just going to be it could be a very, very interesting point over the next couple of months, because no one's got a crystal ball. We don't know what the CCP are thinking, the centralised government, as far as COVID, and we're just sitting on our hands just watching daily.